So I actually lied at the end of the last video. We're not going to get right into styling your classes yet. The one more thing I wanted to do, and that is to talk about styling the image tag, the IMG tag, which is for all images on the page, and also styling the link tag. So one way to go ahead and style a tag if you're not, or style an object or content on your page if you're not sure what it is. Let's say I don't know what the HTML is for an image. Put it onto your page and then click on it and go down to your tags down here and you'll know what the HTML is. So I'm going to put in some links to start with. So I have Vannevar Bush here. And if I wanted to just have it take on the link attributes, create a false link, I'd go to my properties inspector and in the link field put in a pound sign. That was something from last week. But I actually do have the addresses up here, and so I have this address for Vannevar Bush and the Memex, and I'm going to copy that, and that is what I want us to link to. And if I choose target blank right underneath, that will come up in its own tab or window, whatever set for the default setting. I don't really like that default. The default is dark blue and it's underlined. So what I'm going to do is, and notice here, if I didn't know what the tag was, I'm selected on my text, and I have a new tag, which is the A tag. That's the one I'm going to target. And this is HTML, so it's a tag selector. I'm going to go to my panel, choose the new CSS rule. Dreamweaver already guessed that the tag I want to select is the A, and that's for the link. And I'm only working with tags. I haven't gotten to class yet. And I'm going to click OK. And how do I want to change it? I'm going to work in the type category. Although I'll show you, I could put background as well. So maybe I want the font to be the same, or I could have it different. But I'm going to change the attribute so it's not going to be on the default setting. So if I don't pick what font type, then it's going to be whatever the default setting is for that browser for links. And the size, I'll put it to be the same size as the rest of my text. But I'll put it to have, let's say, a different color. And I'm just going to click bright so that we can really see it. So now I've just styled my my links to be bright yellow. I could have it have a strike through for whatever reason. That'd be a little strange. Or it could blink, or it could have none. Any one of these kind of decorations. It could have a background color. So let's say I wanted it to be, I'll just choose bright red just so you could see. So now that link has a background color. And that's what we're going to talk about once we get to classes. So I'm actually not going to keep the background color on, but I just wanted to point that out. So to take off the color, I'm going to hit this bar and hit apply. Okay, so now everything that I turn into a link here, I'll go to, let's get from the pages that I have set up for John Cage, for example. This is his website. I'm going to copy that and go back to Dreamweaver and highlight John Cage. Go to my link field and put in the address and target blank so it opens up in a different page. And it took on the attributes that I set already here. Okay, now I'd like you to have some images for your assignment. And I have a couple of images that I've already saved of of Vannevar Bush, of John Cage, and Namjoon Paik. And I'm going to start adding some of those images in. So Vannevar Bush, I'm just going to put him right into this cell. And that doesn't really look great, so I'm going to have to work on that. And I'll put John Cage over into this cell. So my layout's not really looking that nice. I don't really like the way I have this short column of text. I like my table to be wider, so I'm going to do that through the CSS. I'm going to open up the rule for my table tag that I set before. I'm going to go to the box category, and in the box category I have a width. So let's see if I change my width of my table to 800 pixels and I hit apply, you can see that the layout looks a little bit better. So that's one way I could make my table larger. And I'm going to click OK. So that looks a little bit better. I could even try something more. If I wanted to style the text inside here, go back to my table again, and I'm going to go to the block category. So a lot of this, it's not very hard, but it's just a matter of knowing where to go to style, what you're styling. So am I targeting the P tag or am I targeting the table, for example? Well, to get this text, we had to target the table tag. P would only be for text that's outside of a table. To center my table, I go to my box category, and that's where I put my right and left margins to auto. It's just a matter of kind of knowing where these things are. The block category, I could work on my letter spacing um, and the vertical alignment, but let's just see if I did justify for my text align, if I like that. So what that gives me is that my text is evenly spaced out. You might like it, might not like it. I just want to point out where it is. If I wanted to do center alignment, which I think kind of looks terrible, I don't recommend, or left alignment, any of those things, it's going to be in this block category. And I'm going to hit apply for that one and leave it at justify and click OK. All right, so that was just going back and talking about more attributes that you can set to your tables. Now what about my images? I want all of my images to come in with a little bit of border around them, and that is my IMG tag. So I'm going to go to my new CSS rule, and I'm targeting a tag, and the tag I'm targeting is IMG. Dreamweaver picked up on it because I had my image selected. You were in your table, it might think that you want to work on your table, so just from the drop-down choose IMG. And this document only. Once I'm done styling this, I'm going to talk about what the difference is. This document only means I'm putting all of these styles on this page, not in an external style sheet, which is something we'll get to later. And click OK. So there are two ways I can create a border, and I'm just going to move this window over so we can see this and this at the same time. One way I could do it is if I went to my box category and I added padding to every one of my images, which basically is saying create a little bit of space or like a margin around. I'll just add a padding of 10. Oops, I meant to put in 10. And hit apply. You don't really see a difference. But if I now go to the background category and I put in a bright color and hit apply, you can now see that padding. So it looks like a border, although it's not a border. All it is saying instead of the image it's being just the image, whatever the pixel width and height it is, add the amount of padding that I said to that image. It's just adding a little bit of free space, and then allow that free space to show the color, the background color. So again, that was in the box category. Add some padding, and I'll just change that padding so we can just see what we're doing here. The more padding I add, the more of the background color you see. The other way you can do it is go to the border category. In the border category, you have 3 different attributes, and you have to set all of them. You can always uncheck this same for all. If I only want a border on the bottom, for example, I can uncheck same for all and go to my bottom, and there are all of these different kinds of borders I could put. I could put a dashed border, and I'm going to uncheck same for all because I'm just working on bottom with my width that I want to be a medium width, and I want it to be bright green, and I'm just picking bright colors so we can see it. And now you can see over here that at the bottom I have this border. But if I did choose same for all, and I have to choose same for all of them, I'm now going to have this green border going all the way around. If I didn't want it to be dashed, I wanted it to be solid. Now you can see I have green all the way around. The green border goes to the very edge, and this image has a padding on it, so it's the edge of the padding. If I wanted this border to be right up against the edge of this image, I'm going to get rid of my padding. So I'll go back to the box category and put in a padding of 0 and hit apply. And so now you can see that the border that I've set is right up against the edge of the image because the image no longer has a padding. Okay? So we have the box category where we have the padding. That's one way to add a border. And we have the border category is another way to add a border. Or you could do both. So you end up with a double border. I could have a padding of 10 and choose a background color of white instead of this yellow. And I could get a double border, a double frame around my image. Okay, so now every single image on here will take on those attributes. So if I add the image of Namjoon Paik here, it's going to take on those attributes as well. Okay, so now I really will start to talk about classes.